Greetings everyone and welcome to our webinar. My name is Alia and I will be moderator 1 for today's session. Today, we will be discussing a very important issue that affects many people, especially young people who spend a lot of time online, which is cyberbullying. What is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is the use of digital technologies such as social media, messaging apps, online games or websites to bully, harass, embarrass, or harm another person. It often involves repeated harmful behavior and can have serious emotional and physiological effects on the person. Did you know that, according to UNICEF, 28% of Malaysian children have experienced online violence or cyberbullying? With the growth of social media and digital communication, cyberbullying has become a serious concern. It can affect a person's mental health, confidence, relationships, and overall well-being. In this webinar, we will be exploring cyberbullying from different perspectives, including social media, psychology, law, and personal experience. We hope that this discussion will help raise awareness and encourage safer online behavior. Our panel of speakers today consists of Theodora, a cyberbullying victim who will share her personal experiences. Next, we have Alessandra Molonatan, a social media specialist from the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, who will discuss the role of digital platforms and online safety. Next is Shruti, a psychologist from Bahagia Psychiatric Hospital, who will provide insights into the psychological impacts of cyberbullying. Next, we have Rose Lee, a legal expert, who will explain the legal protections and consequences related to cyberbullying. Okay, now let's invite our guest speaker, Theodora, who will be sharing her personal experience as a cyberbullying victim. Through her story, we will help us understand the emotional and psychological impact that cyberbullying can have to a person's life.
Thank you, Alia. My name is Theo, and before everything happened, I was known as one of the most dedicated employees in my company. I took pride in my work and always gave my best effort. I stayed late to complete projects, supported my colleagues, and whenever they needed help, and worked hard to build a good reputation. I wanted people to recognize me for my skills, professionalism, and commitment. However, everything changed because one private part of my life. For almost a year, I was secretly in a relationship with my boss. We knew it was a complicated situation, so we agreed to keep it private. We did not want our personal relationship to interfere with work or become the subject of office gossip. We both were adults, and we believed our private lives should remain private. One morning, my phone started receiving hundreds of notifications. At first, I thought there was a work emergency, but when I opened my messages, I was shocked. Someone had leaked out private photos of me and my boss online. Within hours, the photos spread everywhere. They were shared in workplace WhatsApp groups, anonymous employee forums, Instagram pages, Facebook posts, and even private group chats. People I had never spoken to before were suddenly discussing my personal life. Strangers began sharing their opinions about me without knowing the full story. The cyberbullying started immediately. People accused me of dating my boss just to gain promotions and special treatment. Some called me unprofessional and dishonest. Others created rumors and exaggerated stories that were completely untrue. It felt like years of hard work and dedication had disappeared overnight. Nobody cared about the projects I completed or the effort I had put into my career. They only focused on the leaked photos. The emotional impact was overwhelming. Going to work became one of the hardest things I've ever done. I could hear people whispering when I walked past them. Some colleagues avoided me completely, while others stared at me as if they already knew everything about my life. Every morning, I sat in my car outside my office, trying to gather the courage to walk inside. I also became anxious every time I checked my phone. My hands would shake because I was afraid of seeing another hurtful comment or another rumor spreading online. I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and alone. Eventually, I started losing confidence in myself. I questioned whether people will ever see me as a hardworking employee again, or if I will always be remembered as a subject of a workplace scandal. Many people ask why I did not report the cyberbullying immediately. The truth is that I was scared. I worried that reporting it would bring even more attention to the situation. I hoped that if I ignored the comments, people would eventually lose interest and move on. I was also embarrassed and afraid that nobody would take me seriously. Like many victims of cyberbullying, I felt powerless and unsure of what to do. Unfortunately, the harassment continued. It began affecting my mental health, my confidence, and my ability to focus at work. That was when I realized I needed help. I reported the leaked content and informed the company about the cyberbullying. The posts were eventually removed and the investigation was launched. Although the photos were taken down, the emotional damage did not disappear immediately. It took time to rebuild my confidence and trust in others. This experience taught me that cyberbullying is much more than just mean comments online. It can damage a person's reputation, mental health, and sense of security. Behind every photo or rumor is a real person with real feelings. Everyone deserves privacy, respect, and compassion, both online and offline. Thank you.
As an officer with the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, I see every day how digital platforms have transformed the way Malaysians communicate, learn, and connect. Social media has created incredible opportunities, but it has also become a space where cyberbullying can spread rapidly and cause serious emotional and psychological harm. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission is Malaysia's statutory regulatory body responsible for overseeing the communications and multimedia industry, including telecommunications, broadcasting, and the internet. One of the biggest reasons cyberbullying spreads so quickly is algorithm amplification. Social media platforms are designed to maximize engagement, so content that triggers strong emotional reactions, whether anger, outrage, or humiliation, is more likely to be recommended to larger audiences. Unfortunately, this means that harmful posts, insults, or embarrassing videos can gain thousands of views within minutes, significantly increasing the impact on victims. Another major concern is anonymity and the misuse of fake accounts. While online anonymity has legitimate purposes, it can also reduce accountability. Many perpetrators hide behind anonymous profiles to harass, threaten, or intimidate others, believing they are less likely to face consequences. In some cases, multiple fake accounts are even created to coordinate targeted attacks against a single individual. The culture of virality further worsens the problem. Content is often shared because it is sensational rather than truthful or responsible. Screenshots, edited videos, and public callouts can spread across several platforms before the full context is known, causing lasting damage to a person's reputation and mental well-being. At MCMC, we also recognize that content moderation remains a significant challenge. Although most social media platforms have policies against online harassment, enforcement is not always consistent. Automated systems may struggle to detect context, sarcasm, or coded language, allowing harmful content to remain online long enough to reach a wide audience before it is removed. This is where MCMC plays a critical role. Under the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, we monitor online communications, investigate cyber harassment complaints, work closely with social media platforms to remove harmful content, and collaborate with law enforcement agencies when offenses have been committed. We also conduct digital literacy initiatives such as Klik Dengan Bijak, which educates Malaysians on responsible online behavior and encourages people to become more informed and respectful digital citizens. The scale of MCMC work reflects the growing seriousness of cyberbullying in Malaysia. In 2024, MCMC successfully facilitated the removal of 8,756 cyberbullying-related posts, compared to 1,763 posts in 2023, an increase of almost 5 times. While this indicates that online abuse remains a significant concern, it also demonstrates our commitment to working with platform providers to respond more quickly and effectively to harmful content. One case that deeply impacted both the public and our work was the tragic death of Malaysian influencer R. Redisberry, also known as Asha, in 2024. The incident highlighted the devastating real-world consequences of cyberbullying and reinforced the urgency of strengthening online safety measures. Following the case, MCMC intensified its engagement with digital platforms, accelerated investigations into cyber harassment, and expanded public awareness campaigns to help prevent similar incidents. As Deputy Communications Manager Teo Lee Ching reminded Malaysians, we must all think before you click and verify before you share. This message reflects an important principle. Creating a safer online environment is a shared responsibility, not just the responsibility of regulators. Despite these efforts, MCMC continues to face significant challenges. The vast amount of online content, the rapid spread of harmful posts across multiple platforms, anonymous accounts, encrypted messaging services, and the global nature of social media companies make enforcement increasingly complex. At the same time, we must balance effective regulation with the protection of freedom of expression. Ultimately, cyberbullying cannot be eliminated through regulation alone. Creating a safer digital environment requires collaboration between LCNC, technology companies, schools, communities, and every social media user. By communicating respectfully, reporting harmful behavior, and promoting responsible online conduct, we can all help build a safer and more positive digital experience.
Okay, I will be discussing this topic from a psychologist's perspective. So, cyberbullying is not simply caused by technology itself, but by certain human behaviors and psychological processes that become amplified in online environments. From a psychologist's perspective, understanding these factors helps us explain why people engage in harmful online behavior. Firstly, one major factor is known as the online disinhibition effect. People often say things online that they would never say face to face. Behind a screen, individuals feel less accountable for their actions because they do not immediately witness the emotional reaction of others. This sense of anonymity and distance lowers self-control and makes some people more likely to post hurtful comments or engage in harmful behavior that they might avoid in real-life interactions. Secondly, peer pressure and the need for social validation also plays a significant role. Many individuals seek acceptance and approval from others. As a result, they may like, share, or even participate in bullying contents simply to fit in with their peers or gain attention online. So in many cases, people do not intend to hurt others directly, but they become involved because of their fear of being excluded or want to feel accepted by their social groups. Another contributing factor is the lack of empathy in digital spaces. When communication occurs through screens, it becomes easier to forget that there is a real person on the receiving end. Unlike face-to-face interactions, online communication lacks of facial expressions, tone of voice, and immediate emotional feedback. Because individuals cannot directly see the pain that they are causing, they may underestimate the emotional impact of their words and actions, making it easier for cyberbullying to occur. In addition, some individuals engage in cyberbullying because of the desire of power and control. Psychologically, people who often feel insecure, ignored, or powerless in their own lives may seek dominance over others through online platforms. By humiliating or intimidating someone else, they may temporarily gain attention, feel superior, or experience a sense of control that they lack in reality. However, this behavior often reflects deeper emotional or self-esteem issues rather than genuine confidence. Finally, revenge and emotional frustration can also motivate cyberbullying. Feelings such as anger, jealousy, stress, or resentment may lead individuals to lash out online. Because we all know that digital platforms provide immediate access and quick reactions, people can impulsively post hurtful messages or spread rumors without fully considering the consequences. In this way, cyberbullying becomes an unhealthy outlet for unresolved emotions and interpersonal conflicts. In conclusion, cyberbullying is influenced by a combination of psychological and social factors, including this online disinhibition effect, peer pressure, lack of empathy, and desire for power and emotional frustration. Understanding these factors helps us recognize that cyberbullying is not merely a problem of technology, but also a problem of human behavior. Therefore, as psychologists, we emphasize the importance of empathy, emotional regulation, and digital responsibility in creating safer and more compassionate online communities. So before I end, here is a quote by Dalai Lama: "Be kind whenever possible because it is always possible." Thank you.
My first point that I would like to make is that most young people are simply unaware that cyberbullying constitutes as an offense under the Malaysian law. The primary provision is Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, which criminalizes the sending or initiation of any comment or communication that is obscene, false, menacing, or offensive in character, with the intent to annoy, abuse, threaten, or harass another person. And yet, the overwhelming majority of young social media users have never even heard of this provision. As Kamaruddin observes, social media users lack a basic understanding of cybersecurity risks and the legal consequences attached to their conduct online, which leaves them exposed. This cut both ways. Victims don't know they have the legal recourse. Perpetrators don't realize their conduct is criminal. Gopi Nathan similarly identifies limitations in public awareness and legal literacy as one of the central obstacles to enforcement in Malaysia. An example is in 2024, Malaysian Communications Minister publicly criticized TikTok for treating cyberbullying complaints with insufficient seriousness, a clear signal of how inconsistent legal accountability remains, even at a platform level. When legal literacy is this low across generations, the persistence of cyberbullying is not surprising. It is frankly predictable. My second point, even where a victim is prepared to pursue legal action, identifying the offender is often the real obstacle. As Rashid notes, enforcement is significantly hampered by the anonymous nature of online interaction. Perpetrators operate behind fabricated accounts and avatars, which makes attribution, a legal prerequisite for prosecution, extremely difficult to establish. Considering the case of Miss Universe Malaysia Sabrina Bennett, who was harassed through multiple fraudulent accounts with no single identifiable actor pursuing a conviction, became practically unattainable. Cyberbullying does leave a digital footprint, that much is true, but recovering and authenticating the evidence requires technical expertise and legal authority that, frankly, not every case is afforded. My third and final point. Even when the law clearly applies, enforcement itself remains a significant challenge. One issue is a legal loophole. It is when the structural flaw that allows conduct to escape liability without technically violating the statute. Mob-style harassment, where multiple individuals each contribute to a single harmful act, frequently falls into this gap, since the law was not drafted to capture concerted or multi-actor conduct. The numbers illustrate the scale of the burden on enforcement. According to The Sun, MCMC recorded 8,399 cyberbullying complaints between January and November 2024 alone. That is an average of 27 cases per day. And Nusa confirms what this caseload suggests is that despite existing legal mechanisms, meaningful gaps remain in the legislative scope, enforcement capacity, and preventive measures. The reality is this: the solution cannot be legal alone. It must be multi-layered: legal, technological, educational, which is precisely where this issue intersects with Sustainable Development Goal 4. In summary, cyberbullying continues to rise not because the law is silent, but because of where the law falls short. Limited awareness, untraceable offenders, and enforcement that has not kept the pace with the scale of the problem.
Before we end, let's remember that creating a safer online environment requires all of us to work together. So how we can make a difference? To create a safer online environment, it requires all of us to work together. Schools, families, governments, social media platforms, and every internet user all have a role to play in preventing cyberbullying. Seek help if you or someone you know is experiencing cyberbullying. Report harmful content, support those who are affected, and most importantly, think before you post. Because your words have the power to either hurt or help someone. If you need help, contact Thailand Custody at 15999, a 24-hour national helpline that provides counseling and support services. And Befrienders KL at 0376272929, which offers free support 24 hours a day. Together, we can create a safer and more respectful online community. Thank you for joining us today.